All right, in this session, we're going to talk about the accreditation process using the smart card reader. Now, if you look at the current window, we have two applications on the dashboard. One says vote and the other one says e-collation. Now, to be able to gain access to the accreditation interface, you would be using this vote icon here. So you simply click on it and then you wait for a little while before the interface appears. Now it says network is not available. Do you want to set it up? Just click on no. Now you have two fields here, the name field and the password. It is required that on this name field you input the word user. If you find anything else aside the user here, you simply have to click on it and then use the back shift key to wipe it and then input back the word user on that interface, all lower cases, and then you click on next and then type in the password, which is 1632, and then you click on done and then you click on login. Now it shows you the current PU configuration. It will disappear after a while. Now when that banner appears, let's take a look at it again. Maybe if you didn't pay much attention, you use that as a form of indication of the current polling unit to which the smart card reader have been configured to. So we'll go over that again. So if you find that the polling unit is configured entirely different from the polling unit you're supposed to have, you have to call on the attention of the technical support person to come and take care of that. And this is usually done on the eve of election while you are at the rack centers. So when you click on login, so you see PU code 3416.100. This tells you the current polling unit this device have been configured to. If you find anything different from your own polling unit there, you have to call on the attention of the technical support person, RA Tech, that will be with you on the eve of election. Now we have 6 icons here. One says verification, query, communicate, information, log out, and close V. In order to verify and authenticate the voters, you use this icon. If you want to, at the end of the close of the poll, and you want to query to see the number or the statistics of the persons that have been accredited using the smart card reader, you use the query. Then the communicate is the interface you use to send the total number of persons that have been accredited on this machine to the INEC back-end server. That is at the close of the poll. The information just tells you certain information about the device, baseband, Android version, software version, and the likes. You use the back arrow and quit. And the close V, if you tap on the close V, that means you intend to close the accreditation for that particular exercise. So it is advised that you close V at the end of the accreditation exercise. And of course, log out is to log out from this present interface. Now if you look at this, let's quickly look at this communicate interface. If you look at it, you have 2 icons here, the upload and then the back key. If you want to send the data to the INEC backend server, you make use of this. If the device have been appropriately configured and there's internet connection, you make use of this arrow. So right now, if I attempt to do it, it will tell me to configure this device for internet connection because it cannot sense any. But for the purpose of this particular tutorial, I'm not going to run through that. It is expected that we have pre-configured internet source before we engage that particular app. So you simply tap on escape key to leave this interface. The escape key is the ESC key on the smart card reader, and then click on the back arrow. We return to this interface. Now we use this verification icon. We use the verification icon to access the all right, so when you get to this interface, at this point it is required that you pick up the PVC and place it at the bottom of the card reader towards the top, where you have the markings that symbolize like radiation of waves. So you pick up the PVC and place it directly at the back of the smart card reader, where you are supposed to read the card. That is somewhere very at the top, very close to the top, where you have those radiation markings. So you pick the PVC and put it directly behind that, and then you tap on this passport like image. When you tap on it, it reads the content of the PVC. When it finishes reading the content of the PVC, you it will display the particular polling unit, VIN number, and other bio information regarding that particular person's data. If the PVC belongs to that particular polling unit, you should be able to proceed on for authentication of the voter. But if you attempt to authenticate and then it says the card belongs to other PU, at that point you can just kindly ask the person to go to the appropriate polling unit. So I placed a PVC behind the smart card reader now. So I click on this icon or the yellow button at the side, at the right side, bottom right side of the smart card reader. But you can equally use this. So it takes a while. Now it displayed the information on the PVC. So at this point, you see it says reading finished. So in order to authenticate the person, I use this icon. But there are certain points to note. Some PVCs are defaced, so it means physically you will not be able to tell the person that is the owner of that particular PVC until you read it using the smart card reader. So when you finish reading the PVC, it displays the information of the person, and if it tallies with the particular polling unit, you proceed with the other procedures or processes. Uh, in the event that you are unable to read a person's PVC, such persons cannot vote. So you kindly tell the persons to leave the polling station, and where they refuse to do so, you can refer them to the police or security personnel attached to your particular polling unit. If you read the card, if the physical card belongs to the person, and while you read the card, you find out that the information inside the card belongs to another person, and if you cross check the voter register, what you have on the voter register coincides with the physical characteristics of the card, and you could clearly see that on the voter register the person that is holding the PVC is what you have on the voter register. Such person is allowed to vote. It may just have been an error while copying data onto the PVC. So if the person holding the card, you could clearly see physically that belongs to him and is the person that is reflected on the voter register. But while you read it with the smart card reader, you find the data of some other person. Such person is allowed to vote. Also, going back to the issue of cards that you are unable to read, the smart card reader is unable to read them. Such persons, aside telling them to kindly leave the polling station, on the voter register, you have to tick the column that says FR, failure to read. indicating that such person card failed to be read by the smart card reader. Now, if everything goes smoothly and you are able to go through this process, you simply tap on this icon to be able to authenticate the person. So let's do that. So it says, please put your finger. So it is advised that you first of all attempt testing the person's index fingers. You could try a few times, and if it fails, you simply move on to the next stage. So let's attempt doing that. So you have to click on the camera icon on the screen to be able to match the person's biometric.
Verification failed.
So it says verification failed. Now I go on again
Please put your finger.
and then attempt to try another finger or the same finger.
Verification failed.
So it says verification failed. If you try a few times, let's say 2 3 times, and it fails, you are advised to allow the person to go and vote. But then on the voter register, you have to tick the column that says FA against the person's credential, and then you proceed on to accredit another voter. So from this interface, if the next person comes forward, all you have to do is uh, place the PVC against the SCR as usual, and then click on this passport like image so that the new card is read, and then subsequently the next process is undertaken again. Now from here you can see query to see the number of persons that have been accredited on this device. You can query. If I click on it, you could see right now it says I have read just one person. It says sum equals 1, success will fail 1. I'm not we're not much concerned about the success and fail. We are more concerned about what is written here as sum. So this sum tells us the total number of persons that have been accredited or have passed through the smart card reader. And mind you, this is the data you're going to use to fill your EC8A form. Where there is disparity between your manual register and the total tally here as the number of persons accredited, you are strongly advised to use the total number on the smart card reader. If you have voting points, you have to collapse the voting points. You have to collapse the voting points together. Is the total sum of the voting points, be it 1, 2, 3, as the case may be, is what you're going to use as your total number of accredited voters. So let's assume you have 2 voting points, and the sum in smart card reader one says 13, and the sum in the other smart card reader says 13. You sum the two together, giving you 26. So it is that figure you're going to use as the total number of persons accredited on this machine. So to leave this page, I simply click on this back arrow key, and then the same back arrow key. So I guess that is it about the accreditation exercise. So there are just some points to observe, like we mentioned earlier. Where you are unable to read the card of the person, such persons cannot vote. But on the register, you have to what? Tick on the column that says FR, and then kindly ask the person to leave the polling station. Now, for the cases of the persons where you are able to read the card, but in the process of authentication you are unable to authenticate such person after 2 3 trials, such persons on the register, you are going to tick the FA column, as well as capture use the stamp pad to capture their fingerprints and allow them to stamp their fingerprints on the register, and equally capture their phone numbers in the provided columns on the register. So that is all that is required for the accreditation phase. Thank you.